Hello everyone, it's Christine here, and I had this fun little idea for a little brooch for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, where we've got the prompt of wearable slow stitch using my ort beads, which I've shared in a previous video, using a vintage Suffolk puff, a sweet little button. I think I got this one actually just from the reverse art truck, a brooch pin and some felt and some thread and a needle. So that's all I think we're going to need. And I'm planning to make a sweet little flower brooch that has the button at the center, using the Suffolk puff to embed the button into because it has a shank and otherwise it's a bit wobbly, using the brooch pin on the back and using the felt as a little bit of a backing piece. So that's the plan. So let's see if it works. So I'm going to take off a piece of thread. I can probably do the brooch pin a bit in a moment. Got something caught. I'm using my nice big needle because it makes it easy to push through the puffs. Just got some wool or something caught on the end of my needle, but we'll get there. Okay, let's thread up. Hope you're all having a great day or a great evening. It's Saturday evening here. I just had this idea and I thought, let's do it. Let's not hesitate. So I'm just thinking about process. Let's first of all get this button attached in. So I'm just popping the shank of the button inside the Suffolk puff, which is already, being a vintage one, it's already a bit worn at the side, but that's not a problem, because we're not really going to see much of the Suffolk puff except at the back. And so if I start by putting some stitches through to anchor that into the Suffolk puff, just going through the shank inside the Suffolk puff. That's why I had a look at what direction it was running before I started stitching, just so it made it easier to angle the needle through. Okay, so that's going to hold that there. Then we might want to cut out a circle. I can probably shape it around something. Let me see if I've got a lid or something nearby that I can probably use the bottom of this to trace around. Oops, let's get the ribbon out of the way. I'll get myself back on camera. Don't know if I'm down too close today. Put the ribbon back up there. And we'll cut around our felt. Okay. And I think we'll stitch this onto the felt, because then we can use the felt to attach our little ort beads to. Let's get rid of that bit of extra ort threadage that has attached itself to our thread. Always spare orts around here. Let's chuck that one in the jar so it doesn't cause any more mischief for us. Let's do another one. I'll just put some stitches around again. We're not really going to be able to see the Suffolk puff, and these are just tiny stitches anyway, in a beautiful little variegated thread from Orifil, I think these are. Yep, Orifil. I might just pull the camera up a bit. I'm just worried that I'm going to be a bit too close. So yeah, I'm just going around putting in, just popping up and down with little stitches just to hold the Suffolk puff to the felt. And looks like we're round, so what we can then do is pop through and start attaching our little baubles. So this is where I'm going to use my felt mat and help push the needle through. And And so I think what I'll do is just basically string the baubles onto the thread first up, and then arrange them, and then put some anchoring stitches down is what I'm thinking. I've just got my little baubles, the ones I selected here. Not too fussed what order they're in. It's a sort of a multicoloured flower that I'm creating. Just a bit of fun, but who knows? Might even wear it with my outfits, one of my outfits for when I go to my Fleur Woods crafting art retreat in in a week and a bit's time actually. Coming around fast. Yeah, I think that's sweet. Even just to clip it to one of my little project bags. But I like brooches, so I would happily wear that as well. So yeah, that's worked to string all those first of all in place, and then I guess I can pop down where I want the end to be anchored in, like that. Don't know if I might need to actually, before I do that, I might just trim the felt a smidgeroo, because I think it is a tiny bit too larger than where I want it to be, because I don't want to be able to see the felt through the beads. So I'm just going to go around and trim that just a tiny bit. Because really all this will do is attach the brooch pin at the back, and also help us attach down our ort beads. Right. Probably should have arranged it at first and just made sure the size was right, but that's fine anyway. I didn't cut my thread, which was the main thing. So we've got our little ort bead chain there, and then we will pop through. And I'll put a link, if you haven't seen my ort bead video, I'll put a link in the description so you can see how to make them. They are very easy to make, fun to make, addictive to make, you might even say. So I'm just anchoring that one in place, and then I think I'll go around and put some little stitches over each of the bits, the threads in between, and then we can always pop back up through the ort beads as well if needed. So I'm going to pop back down there to start, and then I'll pop up over here, and I'll put a stitch down which will hold the thread where it's holding those two beads in place, and then I'll pop up over here. So I'm popping up sort of on the inside of where the join between two beads is, and then going back into the felt at the back, and essentially using my thread to couch down the thread that's going through all the beads. So it's going to just help to hold them nice and sturdy. So always making sure you're going back into the felt there and pulling the thread down so that it will anchor the beads nice and securely, or the ort beads, the thread beads. And so you can choose whatever button you want in the middle. You could even use, and I was contemplating using one of your covered buttons if you've made some of my vintage inspired covered buttons recently. And again, I'll include a link to that video in case you want to make some, if you don't have any ornate buttons you want to use. I was also thinking you could even do this atop a more sort of fancy vintage brooch. I've got this sort of, I think these are called Bora Australis brooches. I was thinking I could do it around the centre, but it was a little bit too fancy for me. So I thought, nope, this way with just a nice ornate button, that will do the trick for me. So just working my way around, anchoring each of the buttons down. If your thread kind of loops around the wrong button, or the wrong bead, just maneuver it. So I think we're almost around. Oops, and we've just broken our thread, which isn't great, but that's okay. We will continue along just put a holding stitch over the last couple to make sure that they don't unthread themselves. That's where my thread was, so we may just, oops, just unthreaded myself too. I'll just start with a new piece of thread, I think. Is that piece of thread wasn't being my friend, was it? Normally the Aurifil thread doesn't break on me. Must have given it too tight of a tug. Okay, so let's just put some little anchoring stitches in here to again just hold what we've done, but we might just jump around anyway and just put a few extra bolstering stitches in anyway, because it does, I think it has loosened up a little bit, so let's continue the process around. And just for safekeeping, I'll go around one more time. I think even if your thread doesn't break, it's probably a good thing just to make sure. Yeah, it's essentially a couching technique that you're doing. Normally couching would be over another thread or fibre, but I guess it is over the cotton that you use to string up your little beads. I just thought it was easier to do it that way, because then they kind of end up well positioned and they're all in a circular formation and you're not having to hold on to them while you stitch. So you don't have your ort beads rolling all over your craft desk. I think that's looking really, really sweet. So now if I want to be extra secure, what I was thinking is I could run another rung of cotton through each of the beads. So I'm just really doing a second run around to make sure that they all stay cohesive. I actually went through 2 beads at once there. Because they're made of all different threads, you won't, even if you saw the thread that you're using for the threading, it won't really be a problem, because everything is colourful anyway. Now what's happened here? I think we've got a little notch. It's hard to tell where the knot of the pulling thread is versus the actual. What's happening here? Something's knotted. I think we're right. I think we've come through. Yes, we have come through. We are okay. So I think we're back to the start. It's nice and tight. I think that's looking pretty good. I just put a stitch in there, couch it down. And at this point you can just sort of position it so it's looking how you want it to look. But I am pretty stoked with that, I think. It's a quick little craft, and now we can add our little backing pin on. So I think, just wondering whether I put another bit of felt on the back, because that would mean I could sew that on first and then sew the additional bit of felt. Or I can just have this sitting in, which I think will actually be better. So I think I will just stitch it into straight into the back there. So I don't think I need any more bulk. So let's do this up so I don't stab myself. That has been known to happen on occasion. I should get a smaller needle for this step, but we'll see how we go. Pop out like that. It's good because it's quite sort of, yeah, the felt and the whole sort of shape is able to be bendable, so that makes it a bit easier, I think. And I'm thinking if you were doing this as a gift where the back of the piece sort of mattered to you, you could even then just put a smaller piece of felt covering up where you've done your stitching and stitch that around, just so then the pin and the pin hook was visible. Just want to put in a few more holding stitches. Love a nice fast craft, and a fun idea as a little gift as well. We love those homemade gifts. I know not everyone wears brooches, but you can put something like this on your bag, as I say, on a craft pouch. Even just have it sort of, yeah, as a little hanging decoration as well. All of them are options. Okay, let's just put one in there. So I think that's going to hold fine. I might just take it through the thread through the front a few times, just so then the pin is nicely sort of, yeah, secured to the whole piece. So I'll just take a few more stitches around. Oops, I don't want to skewer my bead, so let me just pop up where the fabric, I'm just popping up between the button and the beads, and then just popping back down to the back, just so we're nice and cohesive. Let me know in the comments if you think you might make yourself a little ort bead brooch or decoration. It'd be lovely just even on a present, on a piece of ribbon. Lots of uses, just as there are lots of uses of ort beads and also covered buttons. I think I will just finish that off there. Put another knot in. Yeah, it's good not to have the felt showing through to the front, but the good thing is also as you stitch it, the felt just sort of cinches in also, which helps. Yeah, just checking that this will all work fine. Yep. There we go, and that can just, yeah, pin onto a, say this was my jacket. Pin onto the jacket. Close the clasp, and there you go. That's really sweet. Really happy with that. Sits nicely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get use out of that. So I hope you enjoyed that less than 20-minute craft. Obviously you've got to make your ort balls, but they really don't take long to do. And yeah, lots of possibilities for how you can do it, and a great way to make use of a decorative button. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.